everybody. Today's video topic is going to be the Pell. The Pell is one of the best training tools that there is. I'm going to cover a handful of different things in this video. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Pell itself. I'm going to talk about advantages of it. And I'm also going to talk about getting as close to being able to use a Pell as you can, even if you don't actually have access to a Pell. There are too many good things about training with it to set aside. So, first of all, the Pell comes from the same root word as the word pile, which is also the other thing that a fence post is called. And that's basically what an old school Pell was. It's basically equivalent to a fence post. And if you go to a home improvement store and get these supplies for putting in one fence post and follow the instructions for putting in one fence post, boom, you've got a Pell. Obviously, that requires a yard you can modify. Not everyone's got that. There are lots of options that exist, such as this one that's sunk into cement, and I can provide some resources on some other options as well. So that's what a Pell is. The Pell is the earliest historically attested to training methodology. It shows up in a Roman manual from early in the first millennium, talking about how to train at the Pell. And we see training at the Pell periodically through our sources very late, through a large period of time up to very late. There are photographs of soldiers en masse in the 19th century training out of Pell. This is a great training tool. There are lots of great things about it as a training tool. So, first and foremost, what I want to talk about is the fact that the training tool gives you targets, okay? This is one of the basic limitations of cutting in the air, is that you don't have feedback on things like targeting and other components as well, which I'll be getting to. And so we have this problem where it is very common, very ordinary, especially in beginner students, for cutting in the air training drills to all be done at the same height. Honestly, I even tell students to do that their first week of class with me, although by the end of an 8-week introductory period, I distinctly move past that to striking at targets at different heights. And it's a completely ordinary sort of problem for newer students to encounter. We see this very noticeably in cutting practice. It's, again, normal for students who are brand new to cutting to do a perfect cut on this Tommy, and then I say, cool, aim for target 15 centimeters lower, and then shade their previous cut, because they don't yet have the ability to adjust the height on the fly like that. And so that's a piece you need to work on when you see that happen in your students when they're doing their cutting practice. So having something to aim for does us a lot of good as a training tool. And this is also one of the things where we can get some of the good that is available with a Pell, even if you don't have a Pell. If you've got a wall that you can make marks on, whether it's painter's tape, chalk, you can get away with painting it, whatever. Even if you're not hitting the wall, having targets to aim for is very useful. So without hitting this, I can practice. I cut one at a variety of different heights, and I got this quality visual feedback on whether or not I did what I was trying to do correctly. And this is super important for being able to do good practice on your own. Good independent practice requires the ability to get feedback from what you're doing. And this is a simple, straightforward way to get feedback on what you're doing. So the horizontal pieces here, they're holding the carpet on, so they're structurally necessary, but they're also what I use for delineating my target. So I hit for in between the horizontal, on the horizontal, in between, on, and so on down like that when I'm doing my cutting drills here. I also have the vertical piece of tape here. This is for thrusting practice. Same thing as it applies here, where if you've only got a wall that you can put marks on, put little pluses on the wall instead of just horizontal lines. And then you aim your thrusts at those pluses. And you get visual feedback, aiming for the same spot on the wall. There is this classic training tool in modern fencing of a spot on the wall that you hit over and over again. And it's not bad for developing point control. Having varied targets is going to be more effective. That's going to create a more generalized skill for you. So definitely worthwhile to do for that regard. So the meat and potatoes of the Pell, though, has to do with two other pieces: distance, and then I'm going to talk about resistance. So from the standpoint of distance, the Pell gives me feedback as to whether or not I was at the correct distance or not. When I'm cutting in the air, I don't have any true sense of whether or not I was in distance or not with the action that I undertook. This gives me feedback. Again, another instance of the Pell is great, but a wall is sufficient is I can graze the wall, all right, and know whether or not I was reasonably close. I don't get as much feedback, all right, because if I'm like 5 centimeters farther back and I do the same thing, it's hard for me to differentiate between the two. But it also does give me the opportunity to do something like this, right? I have a better sense of whether or not my length is achieving a specified distance or not by being able to set up like that, even if I'm not striking the target. But if I do have a target, I can strike. Pell's great, okay? So I can check my range with my actions when I'm hitting the Pell, okay? In general, the depth on the Pell that we're aiming for is going to be approximately this, okay? My point is a few centimeters past the other side. Now this is based on the assumption that we're trying to do the sort of cut that would inflict substantial damage and or would cut a tatami mat. It's obviously not the only correct distance, and practice other sorts of approaches based on what's correct for your style. And even outside of what's correct for your style, sometimes you mess up. And so having that mechanic is something you've trained enough and things don't go wrong is worth doing. So obviously sometimes you will do tip cuts, either intentionally or unintentionally. The Pell gives you a perfect feedback of did you actually do a tip cut or not. And even with other cut mechanics, it's still going to be useful. So if I'm doing sort of a push slice cut like we see in late period drilling saber, right? The Pell still gives me the feedback of where I hit, where I finished. I have this nice, clear visual indicator giving me a sense of, am I doing distance correctly or not? And again, visual feedback is incredibly useful for anyone who has to train on their own, right? So the other big piece of what the Pell does for us is it provides resistance. The fact is that when we are training, when we are fencing, when we are fighting, the overwhelming majority of the time when we swing our sword, we're going to meet resistance. It is not common to just completely whiff, okay, to completely miss your target, fall short. Obviously it happens, and obviously you should be training for that scenario as well. There's also times when you're doing that sort of thing intentionally as part of your stratagem, but it is more often the case that you encounter resistance, either because you strike your target as intended or because your opponent parries. The Pell provides that resistance and therefore allows you to train the mechanics that are different in that scenario versus other scenarios. So that cut there, where I throw my cut one, I meet resistance, and then I come back on guard, is done with a different mechanic than when I do this in the air. Right? I do substantially, meaningfully different things between those two actions. I want to train both, but I'm going to very clearly and unambiguously take the position that the proportion of each that you should do should match the proportion in which they show up in your actual fencing, which means that the majority of your training should be on a target that's going to provide some resistance. And it provides resistance based on the depth of your cut as well. Like I showed before, if I do a tip cut, I need to do different things. Right? If I do a very tippy cut, if I hit there, then it is almost exactly the same as my cut in the air. Right? If I do this, I have to recover in a different way. If I do this, I recover in a different way. And the last two of those actions are much more like what happens in real fencing, what happens in a real fight. So those are going to be more important tools in the set of things that I train. And it substantially alters the dynamics of the cut. It is therefore going to be very important. So one of the other things I want to talk about is equipment with the use of the Pell. Steel's not always going to be your best choice. I don't go full intensity with my Castile economy broadsword against the Pell. I wouldn't recommend anyone do that with any steel that they actually consider precious. That's why this under $100 piece of synthetic, the Red Dragon Style ones, available with Purple Heart, I love them, is a great training tool because I can wheel on this thing as hard as I want and know that I'm not going to break it. And should you do all of your training whaling on it as hard as you want? No, that's not what I'm saying. Should we even do a lot that way? Depends on what we mean here. So, when I say something like whale on as hard as I want, that's overstating what I'm actually aiming for. But there is, the concept that we're talking about the cutting units is the mechanics necessary to inflict maximal damage versus the kinds of mechanics that are used in a lower intensity situation. Training that maximum intensity situation, that life or death, I need to inflict full damage kind of scenario, hitting at full intensity against the Pell is going to be part of your useful training tools. Right? That provides better training stimulus for striking targets with intense damage than does cutting in the air. Now, there's a certain thing that happens automatically when striking a heavy target like this. We know this from EMG studies of boxers doing heavy bag work. We don't actually have studies to verify that the exact same thing happens in this, but it's a reasonable generalization, I believe, which is that without having to think about it, without having to train, without having to be told, without having to consciously decide to do it, when you are cutting a resisting target, like you're striking at a very resistant target, you will tighten up through here right before the moment of contact. And you may need to train a little bit to make sure that you loosen up quickly afterwards. But again, that's not something that generally needs to be trained with require a lot of effort to train. So that's useful because you need that moment of contact to be a moment that is firm. You don't want that firmness the whole way through the action, obviously, but we do need it at the moment of contact. And so the resistance of the Pell automatically cues that. So you don't have to think about it, you don't have to be taught it. And you're going to do it every single repetition without thinking about it, which is the level of reinforcement that's going to work well for you. So hitting this at full intensity, varying levels of intensity based on your training goals, scenarios you are approximating in your training is going to do that. These things are nearly indestructible. I have one that got a big old chunk gouged out of it many, many years ago. We took it out of service as a tool that folks were allowed to do any kind of pair drills with, but I continued to whale away on it with a Pell just to see what it would be like when it broke, and it didn't break. So these things do occasionally fail. When they fail at the tang, typically not the blade. They're amazingly durable, and so they're a great tool for your Pell drills specifically. So there's one other thing we can do to make our Pell drills more useful, and that is simulate the scenario of the other person's sword. So what I then have here is the opportunity to do my disengage thrust with opposition, or do my cut with opposition, or do my cut over an action with opposition, or do my attack with something to hit, provide feedback and cueing for that. This is a driveway marker. Tennis ball on the end is for the safety of my eyeballs, because without that tennis ball, this thing would be hideously dangerous to my eyeballs and teeth, and an inappropriate training tool. So that's what I think the advantages and uses of the Pell are. They're a great tool. I think everyone should be putting all the effort that they are able to into having a training tool like that because of how incredibly useful it is. Thank you.